Hey, so what a week this has been. I have just been through a range of emotions and trying to understand, figure out what's going on. I mean, with the two different conventions going on, the rhetoric that goes back and forth, the pandemic, the shootings, killings, the death of Chadwick Boseman, 43 years old, to cancer. And many of you know I have led strong charges of prayer against cancer and just trying to assimilate how all this fits and how it works in with our Christian faith, and does it matter? Why does it matter that we keep praying, we keep our faith? And so it was troubling me. And if it was troubling me, I'm sure it was raising some question or issues with you, and I'm sure you guys are feeling some kind of way about a number of things as well. So a couple of things God communicated to me. My first response was, again, I always tell Joy when something happens, I need to be boots on the ground, and I got to go to Wisconsin. And, of course, she says, no, I can't go. And mind you, I want to respond to everything. I know that I feel like I'm just not doing enough. I have these gifts, I have these talents and abilities, and maybe I'm not doing enough. And God says, you work for me. You do what I tell you to do. I don't do what you tell me to do. I was communicating with a very old friend. We used to dance, party together, and she's in ministry now as well. She and her husband, and she's done some great things and very astute. And we were bragging about talking about the things we want to do, and I was telling her she's a boss, and she was like, yeah, we're bosses on leashes. And it just cracked me up, because that is the real truth. We are bosses on leashes. We have restrictions, we have limitations. And so when we think about what all we can do, the first thing I wanted to remind us is that we can't do anything that God doesn't instruct us to do. And so that takes away some of our frustration and some of the pressure we put on ourselves to respond in that way. The second thing I wanted to mention was just how this affects us. And Jesus came to die for sin, but sin seems to be having so much impact on us in our world. I've looked at the conversations back and forth on different social media sites, on media, on the news, and how one group of people can be so charged on one extreme and another charge on another extreme, and people just, will fight you. There's no room for compromise. There's no balance in the middle. And I think that in that regard, many of us aren't trying to reach a solution. So if there's no solution, then why preach it? Why promote it? Why stand up for it? And so, the Lord spoke to me again, and he said, first of all, let me remind you remind the people that I came to die to destroy the penalty of sin. That sin, its penalty, its destructive power over you in terms of how it can control you and where it ends you up, either in hell or in heaven, it loses all of that. But the reality is that sin is still in the world, because not everyone has chosen Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. So what he explained to me was, we as believers are not exempt from the stuff that happens in the world. In fact, it's almost better that we are in the world with the same issues, but demonstrating a different response to it. So I want to be careful that we don't just put ourselves in a position to become outraged and frustrated and become argumentative and react to everything, when this is our time and this is our chance to really respond in a positive way and stand up and say, you know what? Yeah, maybe I got the coronavirus, or maybe I have stage 1 cancer, or maybe I have this, I got fired from my job, maybe I lost my house, maybe I got a divorce. What that gives you is a platform to demonstrate to those around you that the power of God can bring you through that. And the ultimate expression of all of our lives is to be loved. And we have to work on that. We have to be better at that. And what this world lacks is the love of God. And we need to do a better job as pastors and as churches to push people, to motivate and inspire people like you, like myself, to respond differently to these situations. And it is worth keeping your faith in God. It is worth loving Him. It is worth growing with Him. So there's this part of us that is positionally saved with God, but there's this part of us that is practically being saved on a daily basis, that we are growing, we are getting better. And if we can live with that in mind, we can influence people around us. What we need to do is change the hearts of people all over the world. That's the root of the problem. That's the core of the problem. Of course, media doesn't want to hear that. The world doesn't want to hear that. And that's an inside message to the church. But we need to do a better job at loving other people, and there's no harm in it. So be encouraged. Don't lose heart. Keep your faith. God knows what's going on. He has assured me He is not asleep at the wheel. When the disciples came down and the boat was tossed, He was like, he was asleep on the boat. And He says, they say, don't you care that we perish? And He's like, man, where's your faith? He turns to the waves. He says, peace be still, lay down. He tells the waves to lay down. He says, like, what are you getting all enamored about? I'm in charge. So all of us need to remember that we have a God who's sovereign, we have a God who's in control, and that we are put in this position for a reason, and that we are here. Now is our time to shine in the midst of this. Not recluse, not reject, not lay down and cower. It's our time to shine.